Good morning, everybody. Sunday, the 4th of July, the 6th Sunday after Pentecost, the 14th Sunday of Ordinary Time. I'd like to begin with an appeal. We've been informed that there are moves afoot in Parliament on the back of the police and crime bill, which is going forward. One of the politicians has put in an independent amendment which would decriminalise abortion. That sounds great, doesn't it? Decriminalising, but what it actually means is that there'll be no legal protection whatsoever for unborn children. In effect, that would open the way to abortion up to birth. So please contact your MP today. Just Google the House of Commons or House of Lords, or there's a link on the Facebook and also in the newsletter on the parish website. So please, one little apostolic act. It will only take you 10 minutes just to register. Hopefully there'll be enough MPs to resist this, but it's an opportunity to remind your MP that there are lots of people out there who feel very strongly about these issues. So just a little note. It doesn't have to be a great a defense of the natural law. Just say you're horrified to hear that all the legal protections for children could be removed by this bill, and you would ask your parliamentary representative to resist those moves. That's all you have to say. Okay. In today's gospel, Jesus comes to his hometown and is not accepted as a prophet in his hometown. A prophet is never accepted in his hometown. And why is that? Mark gives us a little view, if you like, of the humanity of Christ. They know him. Perhaps they know him, they're just familiar with him. He just, in many respects, is just another person in the village, the carpenter. They know his relations, his brothers and sisters, of course, his kinsfolk, his cousins, presumably. We know that some of them are described in other places as the sons of other people, so clearly not brothers and sisters in the sense that we would use, but kinsfolk relations. And they won't accept him because they know him too well. And this over familiarity with things is an obstacle for us in our spiritual life. The fact is, God does extraordinary things, and they shake us out of our complacency sometimes, and Jesus did many such things. But most of the time, God is present and active in the ordinary things. And if we would only learn to recognize how wonderful the ordinary things are, we would have a much stronger sense of the presence of God in our lives. We just take for granted, for example, the very fact of existence. The fact that there is anything rather than nothing is a mysterious thing to contemplate. And we don't have an explanation for the fact of existence. Science can uncover the workings of this existence. And interestingly, as they do, the universe doesn't get smaller, it gets bigger and more mysterious. And so we need to learn to open our eyes to the wonder of creation. We get into the habit of thinking we are the arbiters of the world around us, and no, we receive everything. If we can come to believe in a creator, then we recognize that we receive it as gift, as a token of God's love for us. Of course, this over-familiarity can also be a problem especially a problem in our personal relationships. We become careless in the way we deal with people. How careful we are when we first meet people and are trying to nurture and foster a relationship. And very quickly we can allow the careless and hurtful words and deeds to creep in, the courtesy and respect that we manifest in our disposition towards the other person. We become lazy about it, and we can begin to become cold in relationships as a result. So we have to fight against that over familiarity. We have to recognize the goodness and the beauty and the truth of the other person over and over again, and give thanks for it and show our appreciation of it in order to nurture and build proper relationships. Our Western civilization feels that it's so familiar with the gospel. Of course, it has a very distorted view of the gospel, a very dark and caricatured view of the church as well in our own age. I think we need to wake up to that. The people in the world, because of the hate which is fed to them by the disfigured way in which they report facts, and they loaded and inflammatory language that they use in the reporting of things. Many people, maybe the majority of people in our society, have a very dark and sinister caricature of the church. But anyway, they feel they know Christianity and it's run its course and it's not helpful for them. This great gift of faith which has vivified a whole civilization for 200 years. Well, this civilization is now turning its back on that great gift, failing to recognize the power that it has. For us as Christians, that's very disheartening and discouraging. But if we recognize and remember that God works most of all and most commonly in the ordinary things, then we recognize that even if it's very hard to speak about the threats that there are to our civilization, they're usually such emotive and personal issues for people that it's hard to speak the truth into that context in a way that it will be received positively. We must continue to speak it, of course, but we can at least live it. And when the lights go out, that little example, I was given that example, it just struck me as I was preaching this morning. If you've ever sat in a room and you flick the lights out, or the lights go out, and at first it's darkness, but your lights slowly adjust, your eyes adjust to what light there is, the little standby light on the television or something like that. You can begin to see by it. And maybe that's it, the ember that we can keep alive, lives which aspire to what is good and true and beautiful, even if our world isn't ready to receive the full clarity of that truth. We can begin to give some direction. People can begin to feel their way by the light, that dim light that we're able to give. So we pray that we'll be given the grace and the strength to be that light to the world. And insofar as we feel that the Christian message is not welcome in the world, well, then we share what Christ himself felt when he went to his own town and his own people.